First Contact Deception. Admiral Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the United Earth Federation, flagship Defiance, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display of the Centauri system. The massive ship, disguised as a diplomatic vessel, approached the orbital headquarters of the Valkyrie Dominion, a ruthless empire that had conquered 17 sentient species across 3 galactic arms. Status report. Reyes commanded, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Jackson checked his console. Our transponders are broadcasting as the Peacemaker. The Valkyrie Defense Network has accepted our diplomatic credentials. The rest of the fleet is maintaining position at the system's edge, cloaking systems functioning at optimal levels. Reyes nodded. 6 months ago, the Valkyrie had discovered Earth through a routine scouting mission. First contact had seemed promising. The aliens offered technology, medical advancements, and interstellar travel knowledge. Humanity had celebrated, unaware of the Dominion's true nature until it was almost too late. Communications, open a channel to High Chancellor Vrex, Reyes ordered. The view screen flickered, revealing the imposing figure of the Valkyrie leader. High Chancellor Vrex's crystalline exoskeleton gleamed under the lights of his command center, faceted eyes regarding Reyes with cold calculation. Admiral Reyes, Vrex's translated voice resonated through the bridge. I am pleased Earth has finally seen reason. Your surrender will ensure your species' survival, though under our enlightened guidance, of course. Reyes maintained a diplomatic smile. Chancellor, we appreciate your patience. Earth's Leadership Council has authorized me to negotiate terms. What Vrex didn't know, what none of the Valkyrie knew, was that humanity had intercepted communications revealing the Dominion's true intentions. Every civilization they welcomed was eventually stripped of resources, their populations enslaved or worse. The diplomatic mission was a facade. The Defiance carried Earth's most advanced weapons and elite forces. As the Defiance docked with the Valkyrie station, Reyes led a small delegation that included Dr. Maya Chen, Earth's foremost xenolinguist and secret military intelligence operative. The Valkyrie Honor Guard escorted them through gleaming corridors to a grand chamber where Vrex waited, surrounded by his advisors. Before we proceed, Reyes announced, we've brought a traditional Earth greeting gift. At her signal, 2 officers brought forward an ornate container. Inside was the Sphere of Harmony, a seemingly innocuous artifact that was actually a quantum scanning device. As the Valkyrie examined it with curiosity, the sphere silently mapped the station's structural weaknesses, defense systems, and collected biometric data on the Valkyrie leadership. Vrex gestured toward a massive treaty document displayed on the wall. We have prepared the terms of your integration into the Dominion. Quite generous, I assure you. Dr. Chen stepped forward, ostensibly to translate the alien script. Her implanted neural link was actually transmitting everything to the hidden human fleet. The terms look comprehensive, Reyes commented, stalling for time. Beneath her calm exterior, Reyes knew the truth of humanity's response to the Valkyrie threat. Not submission, not retreat, but a calculated gambit. Humanity had spent the last 6 months in feverish preparation, not for surrender, but for war. In the shadows of the Centauri system, the real human fleet waited, ships built in secret, technologies reverse-engineered from a crashed Valkyrie scout ship, and weapons designed specifically to target the crystalline biology of their would-be conquerors. Is something wrong, Admiral? Vrex inquired, noting Reyes' momentary distraction. Not at all, she replied smoothly. I was just thinking about history, about how throughout human existence we've often been underestimated. The quantum scanning completed its work, and Dr. Chen gave an imperceptible nod. Reyes touched a small device on her wrist, the signal to the waiting fleet. The unbreakable pact, humanity's response to extinction, was about to be revealed. And the Valkyrie were about to learn why underestimating humans was the last mistake many had ever made. The hidden fleet emerges. High Chancellor Vrex's crystalline appendage hovered over the treaty, ready to formalize Earth's submission to the Valkyrie Dominion. The room hummed with anticipation as the alien dignitaries prepared to witness another species fall under their control. "Before we sign," Admiral Rice said, her voice cutting through the silence, "there's something about humanity you should understand." Vrex's faceted eyes narrowed. "Your stalling tactics are unnecessary, Admiral. The terms are non-negotiable." "Oh, I'm not negotiating," Rice replied, a dangerous edge entering her voice. "I'm educating." At that precise moment, alarms blared throughout the station. A panicked Valkyrie officer burst into the chamber, chittering in their native language too rapidly for the translators to keep up. Vrex turned to the view screen, his crystalline form stiffening in shock. Where there had been empty space moments before, dozens of warships now appeared. The true Earth Defense Fleet, dropping their advanced cloaking technology. "Impossible," Vrex hissed. "Your species doesn't possess cloaking technology." 6 months ago, we didn't," Dr. Chen said calmly. "It's remarkable what humans can accomplish when motivated." The Valkyrie guards reached for their weapons, but the Earth delegation was faster. Hidden devices activated, emitting a frequency that temporarily disrupted the crystalline neural pathways of the Valkyrie. The guards froze in place, immobilized but conscious. Commander Jackson's voice came through Raya's comm device. "Admiral, the fleet is in position. Strike teams have boarded secondary Valkyrie vessels, awaiting your command." On the view screen, the human fleet maneuvered with precision that belied their supposedly primitive status. The ships weren't the sleek, uniform design of the Valkyrie, but a patchwork of different configurations, evidence of humanity's rapid adaptation and innovation. "What is this treachery?" Vrex demanded, struggling against the neural disruption. "Not treachery, Chancellor. Strategy," Rice countered. "We intercepted your communications. We know what you've done to other species who trusted you. Did you really think we wouldn't prepare?" The sphere of harmony, still sitting innocuously on the conference table, suddenly pulsed with energy. The quantum data it had gathered was being used by the human fleet to target specific weaknesses in the Valkyrie defenses. Outside, precision strikes disabled the Valkyrie ships without destroying them. Earth had learned from studying the alien technology that the ships contained biological components. Essentially, each vessel was partially alive. Humanity had no desire for genocide, only to stop the threat. "You should know something about Earth's history," Rice continued, circling Vrex slowly. "We'd fought ourselves more than we've known peace. Tragic, but it made us very, very good at warfare. And we've never faced an external threat like yours before." Dr. Chen activated a holographic display, showing the Valkyrie fleet being systematically neutralized by the human ships. "Your defensive algorithms were impressive," Chen explained, "but they were designed to counter known weapons and tactics. We created entirely new ones, specifically for you." Vrex's crystalline form vibrated with fury. "This changes nothing. The Dominion spans galaxies. This single fleet is just the beginning," Rice interrupted. "While you were focusing on our official diplomatic channels, we were making contact with those 17 species you've subjugated. Turns out, they were quite interested in our ideas about freedom." On cue, the communications array lit up with incoming transmissions. On dozens of Valkyrie-controlled worlds, coordinated uprisings had begun, using weapons and tactics provided by covered human operatives. "Admiral," Commander Jackson reported, "we have control of their primary weapons and communications arrays. The station is secure." Rice nodded and turned back to Vrex. "Now, Chancellor, let's discuss those terms again. But this time, we'll be writing them." The human delegation moved with practiced efficiency, securing the Valkyrie leadership while strike teams throughout the station established control. In less than an hour, the headquarters of the mighty Dominion had fallen not to overwhelming force, but to human ingenuity, preparation, and determination. As Reyes looked out at the disabled Valkyrie fleet, She knew this was just the first engagement in what would likely be a long campaign. But humanity had revealed its true nature, not as easy prey, but as fierce defenders of freedom, not just for themselves, but for all sentient life. "Prepare a transmission to Earth," she ordered. "The unbreakable pact has begun. The Dominion strikes back." 3 weeks after the audacious human takeover of the Valkyrie command station, Admiral Rice stood in the newly established Alliance Command Center, converted from Frex's former throne room. Representatives from 7 formerly subjugated species had arrived, each bringing valuable intelligence on Valkyrie operations throughout the galaxy. "The Dominion's central communication network has been compromised," reported Kaleth, a towering insectoid from the Arxian Collective. "But we've detected unusual quantum signatures from the outer territories. They're adapting faster than anticipated." Rice studied the tactical display showing the spreading rebellion across Valkyrie space. The initial human strikes had been devastatingly effective, but the Dominion was vast, with resources spanning multiple star systems. "They're consolidating their forces around the manufacturing worlds in the Epsilon cluster," Dr. Chen pointed out, highlighting a distant region. "Something big is happening there." Commander Jackson entered the command center, his expression grim. "Admiral, we've lost contact with our outposts in the Procyon and Sirius sectors. Complete communications blackout." Reyes felt a chill. This was the counterstrike they'd been preparing for, but it had come sooner than expected. "They're testing our response capabilities. Projection of force vectors. The tactical AI calculated potential attack routes. 87% probability they're targeting our supply lines between Earth and the front. Secondary target likely to be the Arxian homeworld as punishment for their defection." Kaleth's mandibles clicked anxiously. "My people have only just tasted freedom after centuries of servitude. We cannot withstand a full Dominion assault." "And you won't have to," Rice assured him. "Lieutenant Park, activate Operation Hydra." Throughout Allied space, dormant human stealth platforms came online, revealing a defensive network that had been secretly deployed during the previous months. The humans had anticipated being cut off from Earth and had prepared accordingly. "The Valkyrie underestimated us once," Rice said. "Their mistake was assuming our technology level based on our official records. They never considered we might be hiding our true capabilities." Dr. Chen's console chimed with an urgent alert. "Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy signature approaching from the galactic core. It's unlike anything in our databases." The view screen shifted to show a terrifying sight. A Valkyrie dreadnought of unprecedented size emerging from what appeared to be a manufactured wormhole. The vessel's crystalline structure pulsed with ominous energy. "The World Breaker," gasped Talon, the avian representative from Altair. "It's not a myth after all. The Dominion used it to shatter my ancestors' resistance centuries ago." Rice faced the gathered Alliance representatives. "We knew this wouldn't be easy. The Valkyrie have ruled through fear for millennia, but they've never faced a coalition like ours before." She activated the secure quantum communication link to Earth. "This is Admiral Rice to Earth Command. Initiate Phoenix Protocol." On worlds throughout human-controlled space, hidden facilities began producing the weapons and ships designed specifically for this moment. Technology developed by combining human innovation with knowledge from liberated species. "The Valkyrie believe their world breaker will force our surrender." Rice addressed the Alliance Council. "They expect us to choose between submission and annihilation. But there's something they haven't accounted for." She brought up schematics of a device that had been in development since the first intercepted communications revealed the Valkyrie threat. The Prometheus engine, a technological marvel that could potentially neutralize the World Breaker's power source. "This is why we needed the data from the command station," Dr. Chen explained. "The crystalline technology the Valkyrie use isn't just mechanical, it's partially biological, grown rather than built. And like any biological system, it has vulnerabilities." The Alliance representatives studied the weapon with a mixture of hope and skepticism. "It's untested," Kaleth observed. "A theoretical weapon against a very real threat." Welcome to humanity's entire history, Rise replied with a grim smile. We've been betting on untested theories against overwhelming odds since we first left our caves. Commander Jackson's console lit up with dozens of incoming signals. Admiral, the rebellion has spread to 23 more Valkyrie-controlled worlds. The subject species are rising up, using our tactical packages. For a moment, the command center was filled with cautious celebration, but Reyes kept her eyes on the approaching world breaker. The Valkyrie had ruled through fear because fear worked. The weapon approaching had shattered planets and broken civilizations. We have 48 hours before it reaches the Arxian homeworld, she announced. I need volunteers for a strike team. We're going to infiltrate that monstrosity and deploy the Prometheus engine at its core. That's a suicide mission, Talon said quietly. Possibly, Rise acknowledged. But humanity has a long tradition of those two. As the Alliance members departed to prepare their forces, Dr. Chen approached Rise privately. The calculations for the Prometheus engine are based on incomplete data. There's a significant chance it won't work as designed. I know, Rise replied. But we don't need to destroy the world breaker. We just need to show the galaxy it can be fought. The Dominion's power has always been psychological as much as military. Once that fear is broken, Chen nodded in understanding. The true revolution begins. Across the stars, the battle for freedom intensified as humanity revealed yet another aspect of its nature, the willingness to face impossible odds for the sake of liberty, not just their own, but for all sentient beings under Valkyrie oppression. Operation Prometheus. The stealth insertion vessel Shadow-Dancer slipped through the debris field surrounding the approaching world breaker, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to Valkyrie sensors. Inside the cramped command module, Admiral Reyes and her strike team made final preparations. Structural analysis complete, reported Lieutenant Park, studying the holographic model generated from their scans. The crystalline lattice has natural fissures here, and here. They appear to be maintenance access points. The strike team consisted of 12 operatives, 8 humans and 4 aliens from recently liberated worlds, each bringing unique skills and knowledge of Valkyrie systems. They represented the first truly integrated Special Forces unit in galactic history. Remember, Rides addressed the team. The Prometheus engine requires precise placement at the world breaker's power nexus. According to our intelligence, that's located 73 levels down from the outer hull, near what they call the heart chamber. Ziv, a Medusan engineer whose gelatinous form could squeeze through incredibly tight spaces, gurgled in their translation device. The heart chamber is not just a power source. It's a sacred space for the Valkyrie. Their highest-ranking crystalline shapers will be guarding it. The Shadow-Dancer rocked suddenly as it passed through an energy field. Proximity alert. Commander Jackson warned from the pilot station. We're entering their defensive envelope. Cloaking field is holding, but our window is narrowing. Through the viewports, the world breaker loomed impossibly large, a massive crystalline structure that resembled a jagged star more than a conventional vessel. Pulses of energy flowed through its translucent corridors, and at its center, a blinding white light pulsated like a heartbeat. That's our target, Ray said, pointing to a relatively darkened section of the hull. Atmospheric readings show minimal activity. We'll breach there, then split into 3 teams. Dr. Chen, who had insisted on joining the mission due to her expertise in Valkyrie biology, made final adjustments to the Prometheus engine, a device no larger than a backpack, but containing technology that merged human quantum physics with alien biotechnology. Once inside, Chen explained, we'll have approximately 4 hours before the engine requires activation. After that, its containment field becomes unstable. The Shadow-Dancer maneuvered silently into position, extending a docking tube that used molecular bonding to attach to the world breaker's hull without triggering alarms. Specialized cutting tools created an entrance through layers of crystalline material. Atmosphere is breathable, but high in metallic compounds, reported Talon. the avian scout whose enhanced vision could detect enemy movements through solid walls. No immediate security presence detected. The strike team moved through the opening, entering the alien vessel like antibodies invading a hostile organism. The interior was both beautiful and unsettling. Pulsing crystalline structures that seemed almost alive, corridors that shifted subtly as if breathing. "Stay focused," Rise reminded them as they split into their assigned teams. "Rendezvous at Junction Point Epsilon in 2 hours. Communications will be limited once we're deeper inside." Rise led Alpha Team, including Dr. Chen and the Prometheus engine, heading toward the vessel's core. Beta Team, led by Commander Jackson, would create a diversion in the secondary command center. Gamma Team, under Lieutenant Park, would sabotage the weapon targeting systems. As they ventured deeper, they encountered occasional Valkyrie crew members, tall, crystalline beings that moved with fluid grace. The strike team used neural disruptors to incapacitate them without causing permanent harm. "Their internal security is lighter than expected," Kileth observed as they descended through a massive vertical shaft, using gecko grip technology. They never anticipated enemies penetrating this far. "The arrogance of unchallenged power," Rise replied. "For thousands of years, no one has dared to strike at their heart." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the vessel. The crystalline walls flashed with pulses of red energy. "Beta Team has been compromised." Jackson's strained voice came through the comm. "We've engaged hostile forces, but we're outnumbered. Proceed with primary objective." Rise made the difficult decision to continue forward. "Acknowledged. Complete your diversion and extract if possible." Alpha Team increased their pace, moving through increasingly complex and heavily guarded sections of the World Breaker. The Valkyrie they encountered now were different, elite guards with weaponized limbs and reinforced crystalline armor. Dr. Chen's scanner beeped urgently. "We're approaching the heart chamber. The energy readings are off the scale." They reached a massive doorway inscribed with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move as they watched. "It's coded to Valkyrie biology," Ziv explained. "No non-crystalline life form has ever been permitted inside." Chen removed a device from her pack, a crystalline fragment recovered from the Valkyrie command station. "This contains the genetic signature of High Chancellor Vrex. If their security is based on hierarchical access," she pressed the fragment against the door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a resonant tone that vibrated through their bodies, the massive door began to split apart, revealing the heart chamber beyond. The sight took their breath away. A colossal crystal, easily the size of a small starship, hovered in the center of a vast chamber. Pulses of energy radiated from it in hypnotic patterns, flowing outward through conduits to power the entire vessel. "The Genesis crystal," whispered Talon in awe, "the source of their power for millennia." Around the crystal, dozens of Valkyrie crystalline shapers worked in a state of reverent concentration, guiding the energy flows with movements that resembled an elaborate dance. "How do we get past them?" Kileth asked. Rise studied the chamber layout. "We don't need to. Look there." She pointed to a maintenance conduit that ran beneath the chamber floor. "We can access the crystal's supporting structure from below." As they prepared to move, a powerful voice resonated through the chamber. "Admiral Elena Rise of Earth, we've been expecting you." Standing at the far end of the chamber was Supreme Overlord Xerex, the true ruler of the Valkyrie Dominion, a towering crystalline entity whose form shimmered with internal light. "Your species' resistance has been educational," Xerex continued, "but ultimately futile. Did you truly believe we would not detect your approach?" Ray stepped forward, positioning herself between Xerex and her team. "Then you know why we're here. The Dominion's reign of terror ends today." Xerex made a sound like crystal chimes. Laughter. "Your species is young, Admiral, barely emerged from your world, yet already reaching for the stars with such ambition. Such arrogance." Around the chamber, Valkyrie guards materialized from hiding places, weapons trained on the strike team. The World Breaker has destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours, Therex said. Tomorrow, your Earth will join them. A demonstration to all who would defy the natural order of the galaxy. Reyes smiled calmly. There's something you should understand about humans, Overlord Xerex. Throughout our history, whenever someone has told us something is impossible, we've taken it as a challenge. She gave an imperceptible signal to her team. In one swift motion, Dr. Chen activated the Prometheus engine, while Kaleth threw a gravity disruptor toward the guards. Chaos erupted in the heart chamber as the strike team launched their desperate gambit against the heart of the Dominion's power. The heart of power. The gravity disruptor exploded in a burst of inverted energy, sending Valkyrie guards floating helplessly toward the chamber ceiling. Dr. Chen activated the Prometheus engine, which hummed to life with a deep, resonant frequency that made the crystalline structures around them vibrate in sympathy. You fool. Xerex's voice thundered as his massive form began to glow with increasing intensity. The Genesis crystal cannot be interfered with. You'll destroy us all. Reyes and her team used the confusion to advance toward the maintenance conduit, fighting through the remaining guards. Kaleth and Talon provided covering fire with weapons specifically designed to disrupt crystalline biology without causing fatal harm. 30 seconds to full activation, Chen reported, the Prometheus engine pulsing in her arms. Keterex raised his crystalline appendages, channeling energy directly from the Genesis crystal. The air crackled with power as he launched a devastating attack toward the human strike team. Reyes dove for cover, the energy blast missing her by inches and melting the floor where she had stood. He's drawing power directly from the crystal, Ziv observed. No Valkyrie has ever demonstrated that ability before. Reyes noticed something crucial. When Xerex channeled the energy, the patterns flowing through the Genesis crystal changed, creating momentary fluctuations. Chen. The crystal has harmonic frequencies. If we time the Prometheus activation to counter Xerex's energy drawing. Chen understood immediately, making rapid adjustments to the device. We'll need to get closer, within the primary resonance field. That meant approaching the Genesis crystal itself, directly through Xerex's position. Cover us, Reyes ordered as she and Chen began advancing toward the center of the chamber. Kaleth, Talon, and Ziv launched a coordinated attack against Xerex, each using techniques from their species' unique combat traditions. The Overlord was powerful but unused to facing such diverse opponents simultaneously. Reyes and Chen reached the maintenance conduit, slipping into the narrow passage beneath the chamber floor. Above them, the battle raged, but they were now directly under the Genesis crystal's supporting structure. The Prometheus engine needs to be placed at the exact focal point, Chen explained, scanning the complex energy flows. There, at the convergence of those 3 support beams. They maneuvered through the tight space until they reached the position. The crystal's energy was so intense here that their skin tingled painfully, and their vision blurred at the edges. Power levels are off the charts, Chen said, her voice strained. The engine's containment field is barely holding. How long until activation? Reyes asked. 15 seconds. But there's a problem. The engine needs to be manually triggered at precisely the right moment in the crystal's energy cycle. That meant someone would have to stay with the device, directly under the full force of the Genesis crystal's power. Above them, they heard Xerex roar in triumph. Through gaps in the flooring, they saw their team members being driven back by overwhelming force. I'll do it, Reyes decided. Get back to the team. Prepare for extraction. Chen hesitated. Admiral, the radiation at the moment of activation will be. That's an order, Doctor, Reyes said firmly. 1 life against billions. The calculation is simple. Reluctantly, Chen handed over the activation sequence and began making her way back through the conduit. Reyes positioned the Prometheus engine at the focal point and began the final preparations. Through her comm device, she heard the battle continuing above. Status report, she demanded. We're holding. Kileth responded, though his voice was strained. But Xerex is channeling increasing power. The chamber is becoming unstable. Reyes checked the engine's readings. The harmonic patterns of the Genesis crystal were displayed as pulsing waveforms. To activate at the precise moment, she would need to time it perfectly with Xerex's energy drawing. Alliance forces, this is Admiral Reyes. She broadcast on the secure channel. Operation Prometheus is proceeding. Be prepared for potential energy fluctuations throughout the world breaker. Above her, Xerex must have sensed what was happening. The floor of the chamber began to crystallize and become transparent, revealing her position. A desperate plan by a desperate species. Xerex's voice resonated around her. Your device cannot harm the Genesis crystal. It has existed since before your kind walked upright. Reyes didn't bother responding. She was focused entirely on the energy patterns, watching for the precise moment when Xerex would draw maximum power for his next attack. Admiral. Commander Jackson's voice came through her comm. Beta Team has regained control of our position. We've accessed their communications network. The entire Valkyrie fleet knows we're here. They're converging on the world breaker. Hold position, Reyes ordered. When the Prometheus activates, be ready to extract immediately. The crystal's energy pattern shifted suddenly. Xerex was drawing power for a massive attack. This was the moment. Reyes activated the Prometheus engine. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the device emitted a pulse of counter-resonant energy that intersected perfectly with the Genesis crystal's harmonic frequency. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The crystal's glow dimmed momentarily, then flared with blinding intensity. Above her, Xerex screamed, a sound like shattering glass. What have you done? The Genesis crystal wasn't being destroyed as the Valkyrie feared. Instead, the Prometheus engine was altering its fundamental harmonic structure, changing how it channeled energy. The crystal's power, once controlled exclusively by the Valkyrie elite, was now resonating to a different frequency, one that disrupted their biological connection to it. Reyes felt the energy washing over her in waves of increasing intensity. Her protective suit was failing, and she could feel her consciousness beginning to fade. With her remaining strength, she activated her emergency beacon. Operation Prometheus. Successful, she managed to report. The crystal is reconfigured. Xerex can no longer. The world around her dissolved into pure white light. In the heart chamber, the strike team watched in awe as the Genesis crystal transformed. Its color shifted from brilliant white to a pulsing blue, and the energy patterns flowing through it changed completely. Xerex and the other Valkyrie in the chamber collapsed, their connection to the crystal severed. The Admiral's life signs are fading, Chen reported urgently. We need to get to her now. Kileth and Ziv forced open the floor panels, allowing Talon to swoop down and retrieve Reyes's unconscious form. Her body glowed faintly with residual energy from the crystal. The World Breaker systems are shutting down, Jackson reported over the comm. Whatever the Admiral did, it worked. The weapon systems are offline. Throughout the massive vessel, confused Valkyrie crew members found themselves unable to control their technology. The crystalline systems that had responded to their biological commands for millennia now lay dormant or operated on automated protocols only. As the strike team fought their way back to the extraction point, carrying their fallen leader, Alliance forces launched a coordinated attack on the now vulnerable World Breaker. What had been an impossible target just hours before was now a disoriented behemoth. In the chaos of battle, a revolution was born, not just against the Valkyrie Dominion, but against millennia of fear that had kept the galaxy's species divided and conquered. And at its heart was the legacy of human determination, embodied in one admiral who had been willing to sacrifice everything to break the unbreakable.